So we have here today Dana Christisen from Change is Good Coaching. And Dana, I'm very excited to do this interview. We've known each other a few years now. You've went through the courses I've taught through my nutrition advisor. You've really learned a lot of information about healthcare, fat loss, all of this good stuff. And I really like your program that you put together. And some of the things I really like that you've incorporated are individualization. You don't have a one-size-fits-all program. You individualize it for the person. You provide mental support. You provide continuing instructions, and you provide monitoring. So those are all things that people can use for long-term success. What I want you to do is just take a few minutes and give us the bullet points. Give us the nutshell of what you do. Tell everybody.
All right. Well, thanks, John. I'm so glad to be here with you and all of our listeners today. I decided to do the Change is Good coaching program from my own personal experience of being overweight and going through the things that I learned mostly from you and from being a health coach in general, and to help myself release weight. And it's working out great. And the people that I've got in my program are all being successful. So what we do is that we have a 90-day program, and we start that with a 14-day kickstart. I think that's the most important time because the first 14 days is the hardest for a lot of people.
I totally agree with you. It's very crucial to get people started on the right foot, and you've really done a good job of incorporating that.
Thanks. And I know a lot of things happen in the first 14 days and people might get discouraged. That's why I don't set a cookie cutter deal for them, because everybody is in different places, and someone who's used to walking 2,000 steps a day is not going to be able to do 10 or 12,000 steps a day and do weightlifting and yoga all in the first week. It's just not, they're going to set themselves up for failure. So we also have a foundation phase where we learn to, once we're started, and get some toxins out and get some new habits started. We reduce the food intake and reset our lifestyles to accommodate healthier choices. And then a lifestyle phase where we can optimize some things that are going on once we get past the first part. So we can experiment with other dietary theories and increasing activity and different kinds of fitness things. And so we have a coaching call every week where I talk with the person personally and discover, what's going on, what do you need support with, what's working well. And we set goals for them and we measure. And then every day they post their stats, their calories, and their activity or their step count for the day. And you have an accountability partner. So somebody else is looking out for you to make sure that you're staying on track. And so that's important. We also use the Zyto technology, which I know that you've been so gracious to come up with some great programs on. So we're using Zyto technology and superfood smoothie enhancers. So it just seems to be working out great. And I'm so grateful for your mentorship for me.
Those are two things that I really like that you're incorporating, because you're individualizing it to them. And I wrote those scans for Zyto that with the weight loss scans that give some help on what supplements to use if people need vitamins, minerals, detox, inflammation support, all that type of stuff. But then you go after super health with superfoods. And I love that you do that, because that's a big game changer on how somebody's going to feel long term. So many times people, you want to use all of these processed box foods, and there's no live food in there. There's nothing live, a live life force to support their body. So they lose some weight, but overall, they don't make that big of a change in their overall health. And what you're doing is you're saying, hey, we're going to take your whole body and we're going to go after you mentally, and we're going to give you a system that really works, but then we're going to use live food to really help your health. So I commend you on it. It's excellent.
Thank you.
Now, I know you wanted to ask me a few things, and I know you know the answers to this, but you just wanted to hear me say them, so some of your clients can hear it from somebody else besides you. So why don't we just go through a couple of those things?
Okay. Well, quite often I get these same questions. So one of the questions that I get a lot is, I'm restricting my calories. What if I don't eat enough calories? Won't my body go into a fat storing mode?
Okay, no, it won't. What can happen over time is your metabolism can slow down a little bit, but you don't suddenly go into this magical mode of storing fat and creating calories out of thin air. It doesn't happen. So if your body needs 1,600 calories a day and you're eating 800 calories a day, you're going to lose weight. The thing is if you stay on a diet for a long period of time like this, your body may no longer need 1,600 calories a day. It may drop down to 1,400 calories a day. And you're still losing weight because you're eating 800 calories a day. So it's an adaptation mode. And you don't suddenly say, you know what? My body needs 1,600 calories a day. I'm eating 800 calories a day. And now my body will no longer need any more energy and I'm suddenly going to be storing fat. That does not happen. However, sometimes the scale can lie a little bit because when you're on a restricted calorie diet for a long period of time, your body will retain water weight. And that water weight can throw off the scale, but you're still dropping body fat. One of the ways that I talked about this with you is I like to keep the body guessing because it's better for your metabolism, it's better for your hormones, it's better for your blood sugar, it's better for cholesterol, it's better for blood pressure, is to stagger your calories. So let's say we do this in a 3-day cycle where day 1 we eat maintenance calories. We call them maintenance days. So we don't eat too little calories and we don't eat too many calories. So we're neutral. We're at 1,600 calories day 1. Then day 2 is 1,600 calories, and then day 3 is 500 calories per day. So we got 1,600 day 1, 1,600 day 2, 500 day 3, and then we start over. That's one way to do it. Or you can just say, hey, I need 1,600 calories a day, and I'm just going to cut it down, to 1,000 calories a day, or 1,200 calories a day, or 500 calories a day, whatever that may be, and just do that the same way. But if you do that, your body will adapt a little bit. By doing the stagger, you're going to make a lot more benefits. So what I do with people is I just let them choose what they want to do. And over time, most people prefer to go into the stagger. It's just easier, and it's easier mentally, and there's a lot more health benefits affiliated with it. Does that make sense?
Okay, great. Sure does. Does to me. Another thing about calories is, how do we determine what calorie level that we need to start at besides just trying it and seeing how we do on it? Is there a calculation that you would recommend?
Yeah, there is calculations. What I normally do is when I have patients in front of me, I do what's called a metabolic test, where I have them breathe into a metabolic machine. You might have seen them on The Biggest Loser, and then it'll give me out their exact reading. Now, if I have clients over the phone, I start by a very simple equation. I take their goal weight, not the weight they are, the weight they want to be, okay? And I take that times 12. And then that's the calories for the day. And what I do is say, okay, I'm not going to factor in exercise at all. So if, let's say, whatever it is, if we throw a goal weight out there of 140 pounds, we just take, let's say the person weighs 180, but they want to weigh 140. I use 140 and I take that times 12. That's the calories per day on their maintenance days. And then their fat loss day, I'd say roughly 500 calories. That's how I do it. And then depending on how fast they're losing or not losing, I may adjust that number, the maintenance days, up or down 100 calories or 200 calories. For instance, somebody that's extremely active, I might have to bring that up a couple hundred calories. Somebody who's very inactive and are just starting to be active, I might have to drop it 200 calories. So I kind of play with 200 calories either way. And I just find that having that maintenance day is very important to your overall success, because where you're going to lose the weight is on the day that you drop your calories, the fat loss day. Does that make sense to you? That's how I do it. Now, if somebody says, I just want to eat the same amount of calories every day, I encourage them to get started that way and then switch over. So if we take, do you know the math on that? I don't have a calculator in front of my computer right now. But if we did the math, we would say, let's say that person comes up with 1,500 calories a day. I would say, you know what? If you're not going to do any fat loss days, why don't we start by just dropping that 300 calories? And you're going to be at 1,300 calories a day, and then we'll see how it goes. You know, because what you're doing is very good for the client, because you're going to adapt. And I know you do this. You adapt what they do depending on how they're losing. So it's one of those things. It's a trial and error. But this is a very good starting point. Goal weight times 12.
I like to give people plenty of flexibility, and I like to give them plenty of time to make the adjustments. And if they fall down a few days, that's okay, you know, because we have to eat the rest of our lives. And this is a foundation for lifelong health that they can use in the future after the 90 days is over. I
love that about what you're doing, because so many of the programs out there are absolutely ridiculous, and there's no longevity behind what they're doing. They're following things that people will never stick with, you know? And you're meeting the people on things that they will actually work, because the best plan is the plan that somebody will follow, not the plan that you throw out there that they'll never follow.
Yeah. So some other plans that I've looked at indicate that blood sugar is very important, and keeping your blood sugar level and not having blood sugar spikes would help with not having cravings. Do you have an opinion about blood sugar and how to keep it level?
Well, when you do the stagger, the 2 days at your maintenance and the third day down, that's one of the most beneficial things you can do for blood sugar. And when I am eating the meals, I tell them, you know, you need to avoid sugar for the most part, especially additive sugar, things like that. And when I know you use superfood smoothies, and I tell everybody to have, you know, that's where you're getting most of your fruits and vegetables. The people with appetite problems, and which are a good majority of them, and blood sugar problems, I tell them to focus on the smoothies that are more vegetable and nut based. For me, when I do a day that's a fat loss day, I do a superfood smoothie that day. And I usually do a big 24-ounce superfood smoothie, which is 2 servings. And then and that's usually about 400 calories. And then I usually take about 1/4 cup of nuts with it, whether it's peanuts or pistachios or almonds, because what I'm doing is I'm adding more slow digesting food. And I don't choose a smoothie recipe that is fruit based. I choose one of our smoothie recipes that has nuts and vegetables. I might choose like chocolate walnut capagrino, chocolate almond capagrino, or banana s'mores or something like that, because it sticks with you for a long time. I'm not going to choose something that is simply grapes and pineapple, because it doesn't stick with you for a long time. So that's one of the important aspects that I use for blood sugar.
Okay. So do you agree with having snacks throughout the day, or just stick with your meal times being the exclusive time that you eat?
I agree with meal times. I'm not a big snacker that comes from the snacker camp, because if you're eating all day long, your life is focused on food. And the weight loss clinics that I've had, the people where I've given them more meals per day, if somebody says, I want to eat 6 times a day or 5 times a day, I want to eat 3 meals and 2 snacks, their whole life revolves around food. And you're better off eating a bigger meal that's more satisfying and not snack in between meals. So I don't come from that belief that snacks are beneficial. Now, there are people that are different. I'm just talking about the majority of people do better when they change their thought patterns and say, when I'm going to eat, I eat. But I don't snack all day long. No. And it's not as good for your blood sugar either, because it holds your blood sugar up higher when you snack all day long. It's exactly opposite what used to be taught. What used to be taught is you should snack all day to keep your blood sugar level. Well, it does keep your blood sugar level, but it keeps it level higher. If you eat a meal, then your blood sugar should come back down. And then you should wait till your next meal and do it again. You shouldn't eat a meal, let your blood sugar come back down, then eat a snack, eat a meal, so you're holding it high. It's not a good strategy.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So do you feel like somebody can get too much fruit in a day?
Yes. I'm a fan of fruit. I think the health benefits of fruit are great, but if you have blood sugar issues and you have appetite issues, you want to calm it down a little bit on the fruit. I still use some of the fruits, and in the superfood mixes, I use the dried superfruit because the health benefits are through the roof. When you start adding acai berries and acerola cherries and pomegranate and things like that, the health benefits are through the roof. However, I don't tell somebody with blood sugar problems just to sit down and eat nothing but fruit. All they're going to do is increase their appetite to a massive degree. Yeah,
and we're retraining our taste buds anyway, so less sugar of any form, I think, the better. So sometimes when we get started and we restrict calories, I've noticed that I myself have days where I cannot function. I feel like I've hit the wall energetically, and I could just lay on the couch. And it's funny because normally I feel extremely energetic and good and ready to get my tennis shoes on. So what do you recommend for those times whenever somebody hits the wall?
Well, that's a great question, because that really starts to happen within the first month. Because what you're doing is you're retraining your body to use fat for energy in where it's been used to using sugar for energy. And it takes a few weeks, maybe 4 weeks, to really adapt. And as your body adapts, your energy levels will pop up. But you need to, again, stay off of the sugar, number one. And I'm not talking about sugar from vegetables or a little bit of fruit. I'm talking about pounding in sugar, because your body's not going to adapt. So what I tell people, big glass of iced tea or green tea. That will make a huge difference in your energy levels. So I don't use any sweetener, just brewed iced tea or green tea, and I put it over ice, drink a big glass of it. That'll pop you right back up like that. We also actually have some products that we use. I know you're familiar with them on the My Nutrition Advisor site. If you go to Superfood Smoothie Challenge, we have a fat burn product that we take in the morning. And then we have another product that kind of gets your energy in gear. It's a metabolism booster that we take later in the afternoon, because I help people to get through that. And one of the items in there is a green tea.
That's good to know. All right, so what we're trying to do is build people's nutrient level back up, because the standard American diet is extremely deficient in nutrient value. And when we're doing that, what do you think is the best way to determine what nutrients a person's lacking? Blood work, or just using a Zytoscan, or just eating the superfood smoothies?
Well, I think that if you want to determine what they need, there's several things that you can do. And I believe in more testing. However, the more testing you do, the higher the expenses go. Where you can get a lot of information from a Zytoscan, especially with those weight loss scans that I wrote, because they're very pointed for weight loss. So if you run one of those scans on a client, you can take a look at all the major elements that weight loss clinics use. So that's very handy, and you can do it relatively inexpensive. Now, if you want to know specifically like the medical tests and the vitamins and minerals that are at certain levels in your body, then you need to do blood work for that. And I do that too. To give you an idea, and you know I do a lot of blood work, when I tell somebody to do a medical test, I have them order the test for themselves through one of the labs that we can get a large discount at. The test runs about $97, and it's a medical test. And then my fees are $150, and it takes a half hour to go over that with the client. So we're looking at $150 plus 97, so about $250 to do that. So it's a little more expensive to go that route. Now there's another test that's called a micronutrient test. It's vitamins, minerals, fatty acids. That test that I do a lot on, that runs $199 to $399 depending on what the lab accepts for the person's insurance, and then my fees are $150. So you can see blood work will give you some answers that the Zyto will not. Zyto will give you some answers that blood work will not. So it's just a trade-off on what you want to do.
Okay. One of my last questions is, whenever I start a program, I tend to obsess over it. So I exercise a lot and I refuse to eat anything that's not on my plan. And my husband says, "You're overdoing it. Calm down. You know, you don't have to do that much activity," but I like it. I'm addicted. So what kind of workout schedule do you recommend for people who are maybe in the 14-day kickstart?
Okay, well, usually if you exercise with a bunch of cardio, what you're going to find is it increases hunger. So I tell them in general, don't do a bunch of cardio. I want you to do slow walking. And I want you to get in the habit of walking, because walking is one of the things that increases your fat burning mode. And I mean walking in a slow pace, not a speed cardio walking. So how I do it is I say, listen, go for a walk every day for an hour. Or if you're on a treadmill, set it on about 2 miles per hour and walk for an hour, and do it every day. I tell people to get a Fitbit, a pedometer to track your steps. Make sure you have 10,000 steps in, and you do this for the rest of your life. This is important to get off your butt and get active. So that's what I say, number one. Number two, I tell them not to do cardio because it increases hunger. And when you increase hunger, that's the wrong approach when you're cutting calories. So that's not a great thing. So after a week or two, depending on the person, then I start telling them, if you add some weightlifting a couple times a week, it's going to be highly beneficial. I like a lot of the strategies out there. If you do anything, it's great for you. I think a lot of the kettlebell courses with the kettlebell strategies, if you don't know what kettlebell is, it's like weightlifting, but it's a ball with a handle on it where you do whole body moves. So it's good for your whole body. So you get a lot of work done, and you don't do specialized moves. It's more to keep your body moving. So I really like those too, having people do those a couple times a week. But again, start with walking. Okay, that's a key. That is something that people will do for life. It's hard to get people to exercise for life. Now, one other thing that I do is people that sit down at desks, I tell them to stand. If you can get a standing desk and stand most of the day rather than sit down, you will do more work than most people do in the gym, and you're not even exercising. You're just standing when you're working. So it's a very good thing to do that you can incorporate for the rest of your life.
Awesome. Well, those are all the questions that I have, and I really appreciate you answering those for us in this format so that we can take it into the future. So and thanks a lot.
I know you're going to use this video, and I'm going to post this video too, and we'll put your information on there. So if people are looking for someone like you to help them with their fat loss needs, they can view this video, see what you do. And one of the important things is people finding the right fit for them. And there's a lot of people looking for exactly what you provide. So that's what this video is about. So somebody can watch it and say, you know, I really like what she's saying, and it sounds like I would be a good fit to work with her.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it a lot.
Thanks for doing this interview with me, Dana. It was great, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Dana.